in high school, I was fortunate enough to develop athletically to the point that that coach, on his own with his own money, came down into the neighborhood on a Sunday and said, it was after track meet at Fort Wayne Northside Relays. And I just set the high school record, and the ICC was Indiana Collegiate Conference, and while we were in the hotel there that Saturday, my height was the same as what the college was jumping, and that he used it as a cue. Bing, I think you can go on to college. What you doing tomorrow? I said, nothing, coach. He said, be ready at 9 o'clock. So he just came down to the neighborhood, picked me up, and on the way, picked up 4 of my Appalachian friends and drove us to DePaul University and knocked on the door of John Willis, the admissions director, and who he had played ball with at DePaul back in '42, and said, John, I got 4 young men from East Dayton. He said, East Dayton? East Dayton in my car. This tall, skinny black kid and 4 Appalachian kids who need an opportunity. They haven't had any SAT or pre-college classes, but they have potential. Would you see that they get a scholarship to DePaul to see if they can do college work? And on his word, all of us got athletic and scholarship to go there, and 3 of us stayed and made it all the way through. The other 2 transferred. The social climate was, they were good academic students, but it was very heavy. Greek system there, if you know what private schools are, and one went to Autobiographical, came back to Autobiographical, and one went to Louisville. Jim went to Louisville, he's the surgeon in Louisville now. Brave spirits, came back, he said, I can't take it, Ben, I'm going home. It's too much partying here for me. And he went to Autobiographical, just retired as a coach. But that experience was profound too. Why? My favorite teacher, Mr. Richard Peter, a production product from Indianapolis, was my ceramics teacher, my art education teacher, and my advisor. And I fell under a gentleman who loved Victor Lowenfeld, who believed in Victor Lowenfeld. And so I began to mentor under Richard Peter, both in play and also as wanting to be a teacher. Because I'd already seen a wonderful teacher, my coach. I'd already seen a wonderful natural teacher, Mrs. Walker and Ellie Kurtz. And so I hadn't made that final commitment yet, but I said, I'd love to be like Mr. Judy. I'd love to be like Mr. Richard Peter. A natural teacher who which I just heard, got us organized to form a chapter of NAEA, exposed us to the literature, encouraged us to go to the conferences and volunteer and get involved, and I was hooked. I said, this is a noble thing to do, to share something you love with somebody else. This is what I intended to do. Love, commitment, extended family, identifying what you have to offer and developing it. I found out later, my dad had remarried me from the other side of town, and I would see him on occasion. Matter of fact, my mother insisted, Christmas, Easter, Father's Day, birthday, you go over there and see your dad and take him a card. And I found out later that he was a musician, and was an athlete that I didn't know at the time, so I didn't grow up around. That neighborhood, and I mentioned in my notes that little did I know how well it would serve me. Because going to school, playing every day with my white neighbors and friends who were experiencing just as much difficulty surviving and growing as I did, gave me the confidence and the comfort to go into any room and be myself and not feel intimidated or that I could not do or could not achieve. At the time, we just wanted to just play sports. But that isolated experience served me in a way that I could not have imagined at the time that I was going through it. I could not have even thought about it. So leaving the city as one of its better athletes and going to DePaul University, it really served me well. As I got under Mr. Peely, because that year DePaul recruited only one other black student, young lady from Kansas City, Missouri, and myself. And as I looked around, there was only 7 other black students in the whole university. Vernon Jordan, you know, to the Urban League, and Vinnie York, who you won't know because he was a sprinter who had an automobile accident on the turnpike 2 hours after graduating, and was supposed to win the Olympics that year. And myself and Fred Cravens, who was a surgeon. But what I took from that neighborhood was the confidence, a sense of self, a sense of purpose, and ability to focus and achieve. So that whole athletic experience, which I found not too different from becoming an artist. You work in isolation, you practice, repetition. Kids are used to surprise when I go into the school that I play sport. It's the same. Anything you want to achieve, you have to work at it, you have to repeat it. You got to set high goals, you got to practice, repeat it. But I rush and support it, and I still cheer on the Red Hawks. But I usually end with this because this is my posse. These are the guys I was playing with every day in the summer to get good enough to go. And I share it because 2 of them were better artists and 3 were better athletes, and none of them was given the opportunity to develop past high school. So this is our AAU team that we played in the AAU league, in the adult phase. Matter of fact, we were at Denver, and during these years, the Olympics was picked half from the AAU and half from the college ranks. And the AAU teams were former athletes who were still in shape to play, and I was the only one who had a chance to go to college. These are just high school buddies in the neighborhood. Yet, we won and went to the big dance at DePaul, and this team of high school guys and me would beat my college team 3 out of 2 games. The tension, unresolved, unnurtured. So I enjoyed leaving DePaul, but what I found out, I didn't know that this was, when I left, I also did some rhythm and blues. This is my singing group. But you guys, your parents did not support me when we recorded in Louisville, Kentucky, but you reported my best friend, and that was Leroy Sugar Bonner and the Ohio Players. On the west side of town, we were on the east side of town. But what I found most gratifying was teaching. Most noble profession we can select. 46 years went by so fast, and I enjoyed every day of it. Even when I was tired and sore. Even when I had to go back to the studio to fire up the kill in the middle of the night. Teaching, which I call sharing knowledge and wisdom. And I found that people are the same the world over. But the opportunity to impart knowledge, to help someone understand a better sense of self, and learn to appreciate others, and learn to view and experience the world around them, that's really what we do. That was Columbus King Center, I think. The world over. What I found, it put me back to the uneasy feeling that I had when I left DePaul at graduation. I remember my mother and my oldest sister and her boyfriend and my aunt coming over to see the first one in the family having a chance to go to college. And they sort of got on me driving on 40 coming back to Dayton. But why don't you just leap in for joy? We're just so excited. I said, something's, I don't quite feel ready. Oh, what are you talking about? You got the degree right there. I saw it. I don't quite feel ready. By the time we made that 200 miles home back to Dayton, Ohio, I figured out, sort of glazing out and looking at the highway down 40, going through Richmond, through there. I realized that I could hold a conversation for 4 hours or more and discuss Monet and Cezanne and Renoir, Delacroix, Mary Cosette, Franklin Carter, Warhol, Larry Rivers. Anybody you want to talk about? Francisco Goya, Bruegel. And nobody has ever told me about me. Not me, the person. But in all that training as an artist, I realized it was Western aesthetics. And no one had told me about Asian, African, straight Aboriginal, Maya, Inca. And I said, if I'm going to be a teacher, I got to complete my education to fill in the gaps so I can be the best teacher for those students. But they're going to be coming from all parts of the world to America. And I must be able to acknowledge and recognize and appreciate their history and their culture and somehow find a way that what I have to give that will fit them. So that led me from 63, 64 right to the day to continue to study. So I started with Dayton, the Miami Indians, Cherokee, Choctaw, Blackfoot, Inuit, Maya, Inca, straight Aboriginal, and traditional African. And what I found that the art was a part of all people's culture. And there usually was two umbrellas, so it helped me to see that. Ceremonies and rituals by which people transmit what is important to them. And rites of passage, birth, fruiting, marriage, death, and after death. The common things that all human beings go through. And then when they celebrate it, they use their music, their dance, their drama, their words. I said, I'm going to stop teaching art. I'm going to begin to teach people. Art is just a teachable, but just to know. In the process, you may find those exceptionally professional artists so they can help everybody. That's the nature of it. So that just led me on that journey, and then also wanting to know self. But it was all about broadening my experience base, my knowledge base, so I can be a better teacher. I remember in '74, I had a humanities grant to go to Nigeria. I went up to Willis, and I hadn't been there before. They hadn't seen me, but I found an extended family. I needed a place to live for 3 months. And this family took me in. Hadn't seen me. And they said, well, I don't know you, but I know you. I don't know you, but I know you. So I felt very at home. I feel like I was right back in the east side of Dayton, Ohio. Nigeria, Gabon, Senegal, Mauritania. I just find young people and kids everywhere, and they basically may not know the dialect or the language, but they're basically the same. They respond the same. They experience the same. So it's just about broadening myself so I can be a better teacher. Gaining insight and understanding. Since retiring, I still try to involve myself. Matter of fact, my wife and I, who is here, and I have to acknowledge because I could not do this without her support. As a matter of fact, we had a deja vu today. We were married in Hartford on University Avenue 30 years ago. I had the good fortune of the search Margaret went through, and I was on the Indiana State Terre Haute for her undergraduate school, and contemplating a move from Nepal. And President Schreiber was kind enough to send a small red plane over to pick me up and interview me and allow me to take my creative approach into the graduate school. So I was assistant dean of the graduate school and assistant professor of art at that time here for 76, 78. And we lived at Washington University, and she was one of the best first grade teachers in Indianapolis, and she gave up her job and came over here to help me be the man that I'm trying to be. So Audrey, thank you. I talked about that umbrella of ceremonies and rituals and rites and passages, as I looked at all the cultures, that is what I found that unifies people. But I found something else too, that every human being on the face of the earth that's alive today, yellow, black, brown, and white, evolved from one or two women from Africa. So we not only are brothers keepers, we are brothers and sisters. Just wanted to know more about music, more about dance, more about art. I found us. So I would just document so I can incorporate it into the curriculums that was done. But I'm going to end just to try to show you how I, as an artist, because I made that commitment on the second day of teaching in September 7th, 1960, I said, you know what, I'm going to keep developing. I'm not going to stop. I know I got a job now. And as long as I keep the kids straight and not too much noise and the principals don't get any complaints, I'll have a job. But I'm going to keep developing my art too. So I took Dayton, Ohio, and I made a 500-mile circle around Dayton. And says, I'll go any place in this circle every weekend, take my art. And that's how I got to Tri-County when I met Dr. Lindsay. I'd go set my work up. I was with Phil Taylor, an artist out of Cincinnati, who had told me about that, and that was a good shop for me because people really liked my work there. But I'd go to Mass on it. I did 500 miles because I could get back to my 8 o'clock class in time. But how I tried to make that effort visually is looking at those basic shapes. And those simple forms I found, which I found not only in Africa, African textiles, but I found in the Molas, in South America, I found in some of the Swedes weaving. There's shapes that are common to all human beings, those geometric shapes. This happens to be the atrium in Indianapolis at a hospital. I went to the University of Texas with a similar lecture on art education, and they said, well, we got to show you one of our new buildings. They got me in the limo and took me down, and I opened the door and I said, oh my God, there's that shape again. And every time I see it, it just reconnects me with my whole person. And it was the Lyndon B. Johnson Library. Sitting at lunch at a Wilberforce University, looked out the window, I see those same shapes. So I'm not speaking of things outside of my experience. As we revitalize downtown Dayton, I see they want to protect the pedestrians and the carpenters have built these same kind of shapes for strength, to support it. I went to Tallahassee to see my friend Clifton Webb's sculpture exhibit, and this young boy walked in, his dad just bought him a shirt from Walmart. I said, hold still, brother. You mind if I take a shot at you? He said, what? I said, I love that sweater. But just seeing it around me. 20 years I left Central State, I get off Highway 35 and go right past a AAA assembly plant, these house presses were in my vision. So when in my work, it's no longer an abstraction, it's an extension of my experience. And I hear music all the time. While I was teaching high school, Miami University, under the leadership of Dr. John Michael, would continually send us student teachers. I had a chance to see and hear about Pennytown, but I also had a chance to come under his guidance. He would send us two teachers. Mr. Tom Patrick was a senior art teacher when I got there in '60, and I took the freshman and the second year students and all the craft areas there. And we had a student teacher every opportunity in Miami. We get them from Wright State, UD, Central State, but we could always know when they were from Miami because they were well prepared, very knowledgeable, very committed to the treatment. And we knew that somehow they either knew about John Michael or they had studied with Dr. John Michael. But as a result of that, we got vouchers in exchange for having student teachers. I don't know if we still do that. But I went to graduate school thanks to the graduate students that came to student teach in my class. And then all the teachers who were not going to take classes, they would have their vouchers in my mailbox. And so except for the 2 summers I came down here to get my residency, you as grad students paid for my graduate degree, and I really thank you. I was a public art piece for the city of Kansas City, which had in it that you must also be willing to work with youth in the community. So this public piece of art, and the first public piece of art in the black community of 19th and Vine in Kansas City, was my work, plus about 15 young people who were in alternative high school who they said would not work, would not do anything. So they helped me in 3 months create this public piece of art. I took those doctors and I started taking classes with Dr. Jerry Barlow and Luke Youth and Miss Owens at Wright State when you helped Wright State develop by affiliating of the university here. And then in the summer I came down and I had a chance to be under Dr. John Michaels, and everybody who had that chance just leaped at it. And you sort of were as quiet as you could because you didn't want to interrupt any crumbs falling from his wisdom. You just love being around him, and even when he would come to as a critic teacher to my class, I look forward to it. Sometimes the students were to make sure they had their best project going, their best assignment, and I said, just have him come as often as you like. No, don't let him come yet. But I knew I would be learning because he always took time with me too. He worked with the student teachers, and he always saved some time to talk with me. If he saw something that he thought I could improve on, if he saw something he wanted to criticize, and even, I don't know if you knew Dr. John Michaels, but even if he criticized you, it was so gentle and kind, and you didn't know you were getting whooped. Until he left, he said, you said, was that good? But just great. And he gave me good advice, nurtured me, and he also, he mentioned McPhee, but he would tell us personal stories of commitment of some of these scholars who were writing the books that we were reading and studying. And he's always made it feel like going to the state conference and the national conferences was almost a part of your breathing. And he said, you're not going? It was like, he's surprised. But really, a gentleman, matter of fact, and you might be able to substantiate that, many times we as students weren't sure, could he walk on water? Okay, I thought so. As I close, I just wanted to share what I come to understand as a result of all the training and observation and all of the experiences that we got in preparation to be teachers here at Vine University and elsewhere, is that there is something about what we're doing that's needed now more than ever. As we look at the educational system, and we look at the charter school system, we look at the alternative school system, we look at education in America, we know we're in trouble. And No Child Left Behind is not the answer in its proper form. But those of us in arts education know that what we do. I used to argue with my colleagues in the teacher's lounge, particularly some of the scientists who said, well, oh, you just go over and have fun and we got to go to work. And they speak of their lab. I said, well, like your research lab, the studio is our laboratory. And what we're doing is significant for the young people as what you're doing. And I learned to change the thrust when I talk with certain decision makers and curriculum people and principals and supervisors and state boards of education. And I like to share that, yes, the end product, what you see that we put on the display when you come for open house night, or what you see when we want to do some lobbying in the State House, that's fine, but that is not all the answer. And I try to share with the business and corporate community and administrators what I feel and what I've come to understand to be what's important about what we do. We cannot justify it with those 1 or 2 in each of our 6 classes in the school that might be nice. We cannot justify our existence. But when we share with them that what is happening inside those children that we provide these creative experiences for, is even more important than the beautiful images we hang on the wall and sell on the pedestal. And we would want you to know, Mr. President, we would want you to know, school board, when we do it right, and it's well grounded in our pedigree, and we presented it in a way that we've already worked out all the obstacles and anticipate the problems they're going to have and ready to re-motivate. What is happening inside is the key. Every time, critical thinking. That's what's going on when you're painting, when you're reading. Creative problem solving, fluency of thought, instrumental behavior to solve a problem, and assessment and evaluation. All the things you need to know to do a good job, be a productive citizen, and for life. What we do, and it makes a difference in a child's life. Most of you know it. We've done some student teaching, you've already started to feel it. Families are key. And I see, when I work with NEA, and the panel for the Future of Arts Education, or when I work with OAC, or the State Board of Education, I found I had to give some time, creative time, and serve on those committees to try to advocate and put in place those doctrines and systems to ensure and protect what we know is to be valuable. Even when we know in the midst of a society like ours, when there's economic difficulty, we know, and it's impacting my hometown of Dayton, and we lost all of our elementary teachers across the country there. And as they made their decision, when I went there to testify, I shared some of this with them. But the hand was up, and the axe came down. And we're going to feel the impact of those elementary teachers let go, and the trimming of the teachers there. I got another appointment with our superintendent next week, and I'm just trying to drill him and say, he's got to see you're taking out the core, because I say at the core of education reform should be the arts. At the core of education reform should be the arts. What makes us human. There's more than just enhanced quality of life, it makes us human. Seriously, some of the major universities on admissions are looking at the scores, but they want to know what else are you doing? What creative activities have you involved yourself in? Because at the key, if we're going to get back to leadership as a nation in the world, economically, we must build more creative minds, not just technology. So what we do, and if I could share anything with you, I would just let you know that as you go into the field, I can't think of a career field more gratifying, more satisfying than our education. I cannot think of a field. In spite of its difficulty, in spite of the difficulty of structure and tests, materials, supplies, equipment, but what can happen? And you, as an art educator, many times will reach students better and more frequently than just the person in the math class or the science class lecturing from the blackboard, because you're right there near their ear. You're interacting with them. And what you say, what you do, and how you do it. And what I found, they're all our children. They're all our children. I appreciate what has come my way. It's never been sought after. But when University of Dayton, President Fritz said, being I was at Central State, the board just met. And we know you didn't know it, but unanimously, we'd like you to accept honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Medicine. And I said, look, Dr. Fritz, what series were they looking at? Was my ancestral spirit dance? Was it the pottery? Was it? He said, we know about that. It's what you do to help young people through their education. Same thing at DePaul. Same thing at Adrian College, and the same thing at Maryland Institute College of Art. I love people responding to what I do. I appreciate this is the piece that George Bush Sr. says he could not live without. That his son Well, of all the things that has happened as a result of being a teacher, this may be the most meaningful to me. There's a group of ladies, professional ladies called Twin Shade in Dayton, Ohio. These are wives of doctors and lawyers, and some of them are doctors and lawyers. But there's 20 of them. They've raised money, and for 15 years they have been the unknown source of purchasing musical instruments for kids in Dayton public schools who could not afford instruments. And if they hear about it, no matter what the instrument, this is a group that would purchase that instrument for that kid and just step back. All kids, black, white, Hispanic. And so every year when they had their fundraiser, they would come to the studio and ask for a piece for a silent auction. I said, okay, here's the piece for silent. That happened for about 10 years. And then it came about 5 years ago. I said, okay, how many pieces do you need this year? And they said, we're embarrassed. Every time we come, you always give. We're going to do something for you. We don't want, and these ladies raised about $30,000, and there's, through the Dayton Foundation, where this place now, there's 9 young people in college on a Willis Dayton scholarship because of these silent ladies, just seeing the value of art as a result of seeing people enjoy what they were doing. My mother still lives on this street. I was out of the country once and wrote a letter to her and put down 51 Bing Davis Avenue from Bing Davis. But just to see if it would get there. But I am grateful. I am grateful. Ladies, you can't imagine how strong you are. And you're the epitome of my mom. Thank you very, very much. I forgot to tell you about this young man here. We were talking at dinner, and I was mentioning I went to my first casa in New Orleans. This were leading scholars on African art from all over the world. And as it started to pull together, the leader came up, and it was this gentleman who I'd never met. And I was just mesmerized to see him pull about 500 scholars from all over the world together in a cohesive conference. It was one of the richest conferences I've ever seen. And then I saw him next time. I came up and introduced myself. I just had to touch him. And then I saw him and followed his work at Indiana State. And when I heard he was here, I did jump up and leave. Good to see you, Bob.
Thank you. My job is a lot easier than yours. And first, let me thank everybody who is here. I don't recall the intimacy in New Orleans. I recall meeting him there for the first time, although I have known his work much, much earlier than that. Then when I got to Indiana State University, the colleague of mine, DK, who is in therapist there, said, yeah, Gary, he was here. I said, okay. Then I went to Greencastle. There was the opening of a new building there. And I saw him there again. I said, you here again? And yeah, they said, he's here. And then I got to Miami here and they said, yeah, he's here. I mean, he's everywhere. I said, that's great. And by the way, I had the pleasure of spending time with him last year in his studio. He's one of the key artists that I'm working on for a book that's coming on key African-American artists. And that's called The Future. Tonight is his night. From the very profound kind of insights that he has shared with us, I was personally touched. I wish I had waited till now to actually do the interview. It's so enriching. I couldn't resist jotting down some notes. One of the first things that I noted was, according to him tonight, the inseparability of art, life, and education, the way that all of these three life-altering kind of events come together, and you see that his work. Here is a man who is shaped as much by intellect as by intuition and also improvisation. To know Bing Davis is to experience the personification of honesty, of humility, steadfastness, and talent. He is creativity personified. And the way he wove everything together is amazing. Listening to him, I heard him again and again look into the discussion, the narrative actually, the concept of this extended family. And the thing that jumped to my mind is NAEA, which is the extended family in this particular issue. The significance of nurturing by a community of people who have a common commitment of love and who want to share, who members of this community are otherwise known as teachers. And it is a privilege for us to in fact be here this evening to listen to very erudite presentation. And I have the honor, the privilege, on behalf of everybody, particularly on behalf of the School of Fine Arts, to present this award to you, an achievement award presented to Dr. Willis Davis, who has made outstanding contributions and is duly recognized for this meritorious achievement as one of the influential leaders in the United States in the discipline of art education. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. My heart is full, and I'm sure that all of us, to some degree, we can't be anything but richer when we have an experience like this evening. So I thank you. Also, we hope, because we all have questions or would like to speak to Dr. Davis, we have a reception. And so we hope that you will stay and enjoy talking with each other. Again, I want to point out that the National Education Association Student Chapter are our hosts for the reception. And so I, at this point, thank you for coming, and please enjoy yourself the rest of the evening.
It's fortunately not the easiest thing to do, and yet you don't want to take anything for granted. So it's at the same time the most difficult. I'll go home there and do something tomorrow, and then lock myself off and, well, I can't do that because there's almost breakfast before I 7 o'clock, so I've got to be here at 7 o'clock. So then I have it's in the evening. It's in the evening, yeah. But then preparing for that, it takes a lot of sorting things out because there are videos, a lot of videos that are designed. And yeah, kind of weird. That's the way it goes. It's not every time that program did very well. You went to flip through and went to it's kind of spontaneous and authentic.
I don't know what it's taking. Well, are you ready? Sure. You know, Larry?
arena of all the best artists. Running.
Thanks, man. Good all day.
These are good. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I used to go to the grocery store.
Eating so close to
Put me out of the house. And then the kids, my brother, just pretending he's
every night. So you're every night. Okay. You're so funny. Every day? Because I rushed it. Trying. He works on it. You said he's working on it. They usually don't rush it. Where you will guys not tonight, just in general.
Oh, yeah. So tortured. So tortured, but. Funny. But see, I think it's not
We love it.
What's your big note?
Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
We're addicted.
and that's it's totally torture. You know, and I go, you know, after the first night, I thought when they were sort of breaking down, I thought that was not going to go through. And then it's like, here comes the cooking.
Yeah, I took two.
Oh.
Spent time about it, talked about it. Grey's Anatomy.
So what is it now?
I'd never seen it before ever.
No.
So I went when I got the first season. So I watched it in like a weekend. And then we got the second season. We watched it. Love it. Really, really. It's got a lot of sarcasm about the stuff.
But I got to make sure everything goes back to make sure it's